Hey friends, thanks for joining me for another week of readings as we continue on during this Lenten season. It's hard to believe that Lent is almost over, and next week we're heading into Holy Weeks. It's going to be super exciting. Really looking forward to it. But for now, we are still hanging out in that time of preparation for the return of Christ as we observe the events that led up to his death and resurrection. So with that, let's get into the readings. So in our Old Testament lesson from Jeremiah chapter 31, verses 31 to 34, God is declaring that he will make a new covenant with the people of Israel because the people have broken the one they made with him after slavery. So the Lord, speaking through Jeremiah, says, "Behold, the days are coming, declares the Lord, when I will make a new covenant with the house of Israel and the house of Judah. Not like the covenant that I made with their fathers on the day when I took them by the hand to bring them out of the land of Egypt, my covenant that they broke, though I was their husband, declares the Lord. For this is the covenant that I will make with the house of Israel after those days, declares the Lord. I will put my law within them, and I will write it on their hearts. And I will be their God, and they shall be my people. And no longer shall each one teach his neighbor and each his brother, saying, Know the Lord. For they shall all know me, from the least of them to the greatest, declares the Lord. For I will forgive their iniquity, and I will remember their sin no more. This is the word of the Lord. Thanks be to God." Our epistle lesson is from Hebrews chapter 5, verses 1 to 10, and it shares the difference between our earthly priests and pastors and the calling compared to Jesus, the high priest after the order of Melchizedek, who is interestingly mentioned in Genesis chapter 14. So the epistle reading. For every high priest chosen from among men is appointed to act on behalf of men in relation to God, to offer gifts and sacrifices for sins. He can deal gently with the ignorant and the wayward, since he himself is beset with weakness. Because of this, he is obligated to offer sacrifice for his own sins, just as he does for those of the people. And no one takes this honor for himself, but only when called by God, just as Aaron was. So also, Christ did not exalt himself to be made high priest, but was appointed by him who said to him, You are my son, today I have begotten you. And, as he says also in another place, You are a priest forever after the order of Melchizedek. In the days of his flesh, Jesus offered up prayers and supplications with loud cries and tears to him who was able to save him from death, and he was heard because of his reverence. Although he was a son, he learned obedience through what he suffered. And being made perfect, he became the source of eternal salvation to all who obey him, being designated by God a high priest after the order of Melchizedek. This is the word of the Lord. Thanks be to God. Our gospel lesson is from the Gospel of Mark, chapter 10, verses 32 to 45, and it tells of Jesus talking about his death and the request of James and John being put in a place of honor. So adding a couple of words for context, Jesus and a crowd were on the road going up to Jerusalem, and Jesus was walking ahead of them. And they were amazed, and those who followed were afraid. And taking the 12 again, he began to tell them what was to happen to him. And he was saying, See, we are going up to Jerusalem, and the Son of Man will be delivered over to the chief priests and the scribes, and they will condemn him to death and deliver him over to the Gentiles. And they will mock him and spit on him and flog him and kill him, and after 3 days he will rise. And James and John, the sons of Zebedee, came up to him and said, Teacher, we want you to do for us whatever we ask of you. And he said to them, What do you want me to do for you? And they said to him, Grant us to sit one at your right hand and one at your left in your glory. Jesus said to them, You do not know what you are asking. Are you able to drink the cup that I drink, or be baptized with the baptism which I am to be baptized?" And they said, "Yeah, we're able." And Jesus said to them, "The cup that I drink, you will drink. And with the baptism I am baptized, you will be baptized. But to sit at my right hand or at my left is not mine to grant, but it is for those for whom it has been prepared." And when the other 10 heard it, they began to be indignant with James and John. And Jesus called to him and said to them, "You know that those who are considered rulers of the Gentiles lord it over them, and their great ones exercise authority over them. But it shall be whoever would be first among you, first to be slave of all. For even if the Son of Man came not to be served, but to serve, and to give his life as a ransom for many." This is the gospel of the Lord. Praise to you, O Christ. Now I want to thank you again for joining me on this little Bible reading adventure as we prepare our hearts and our minds for the sermon on March 21st. I look forward to seeing you soon. May the Lord be with you and also with you. Good times. All right, have a great day. Bye.